Just,
And now I find myself being incredibly curious, which I'm not trying to push you. I'm just sharing my feelings, okay? So please, I can imagine you're going to feel pushed. So be aware of that. Now I find myself like, what the fuck actually happened with you, Mira? Like, what happened?
okay. So, yeah, I like that you brought that part up about any criticism, regardless of how stupid or not factual I think it is, you can still derive something, like really reflect on that. But imagine with that, even
Do
though
you
you
want to just
talk to
tell me
them,
what we're talking about? Like, do you want to just tell me what the internet got pissed at you about?
I mean, there's just so much stuff. It's not even that. It's like I pretty much forgot all about it, but I want to make sure that in the future I have like a better formula to react to stuff, which is why I'm asking you. So that's one way of it. But sometimes people are just so unhappy. Like those parents, let's say they just had their own issues and they just want to take it out on someone. They're struggling with their son. They don't want to take responsibility. They're very immature themselves and they put it on you. Like, why do you need to put up with that? And let's say they also talking to everyone around saying how bad of a psychiatrist you are.
Why do you need to put up with that? You don't need to put up with that. Does it
Do you just
affect you?
ignore?
Absolutely. Do I
Yeah,
ignore
of
it?
course.
No. So I don't ignore it. I try to address their concerns directly. And if there's a population that matters, I will address it with the population as well. So, for example,
Mm-hmm.
like if people complain to my boss, which has happened before, I will go to my boss and, there's a part of that that feels hurtful, but then I'll go to my boss and I'll explain my side of the story. And
Mm-hmm.
then there are also times where, like, I've been in conflict with people and you don't ignore it, but you also like address it directly. And then you can walk away. Like, I think now we're speaking so abstractly that I don't know if it really makes sense, but so I'll give you just a very clear example. So I had an issue with, I was about to take a job and we got down to defining what my title was. And I felt like the title that they were giving me was not appropriate for the kind of work that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were a lot of people who were my mentors and stuff who basically told me, they're like, the title really doesn't matter. Like, you should just do it and you'll get the title that you want in a few years. And then I kind of took issue with that. And I said, well, this title is actually not the title for the job that I'm doing. And I want the title for the job that I'm doing. It's not about ego. It's about, like, this is what I'm doing and I want a title that's commensurate with that.
Mm-hmm.
And they took an issue with that. And so then I said, goodbye.
Hmm.
So
So there wasn't any confrontation. You didn't feel,
I felt
I don't know,
disrespected. I
right?
felt taken advantage of. And I felt betrayed because these were people who, and I think they still do care about me. They genuinely do. They've been incredibly supportive for years and years and years. And I'm sure they think I'm egotistical because after everything they had done for me, I walked away, but I just didn't think it was fair.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I think if you're dealing with like venom from the internet, like you have to be like centered in here.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you're centered in here, the less the criticisms matter to you. Like if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you really didn't do anything wrong, chances are, I mean, there were things that I did that were out of line and stuff like that. So you reflect on those and you grow from them. You even concede those points. But I find that, generally speaking, like even with Twitch chat, like there have been times where I've made mistakes, of course. And what I usually do is like, I don't know how often this is. Actually, I apologize a fair amount on stream. And usually I find that the internet is like actually a bizarrely understanding place. Like I respect Twitch chat a lot. Like I don't think they're a bunch of mindless noobs who are haters. I think you've got to be careful because there certainly are communities of people who are very toxic and they can hate you.
Yep. Do you think there's prejudice towards women because most
Absolutely.
people
Like I
watch
said,
Twitch are males, young males that can't really relate to females?
absolutely. Right? So I said that at the get-go. Like I can get away with some things because I'm a man and you're going to get a different shake. And that's unfortunate. Like I can't, And I can't pretend to say that what I can do is doable for you, because like I think you just deal with more venom than I do. Right? Like,
Hmm. Yeah, sometimes I really question if it's a waste of energy to even respond. But like, if you don't put your 5 cents in, people just assume, oh, okay, whatever's going on, it's right. But
Mira, the only thing that I
ignoring it,
find frustrating about this conversation is that I don't know what you're talking about. And
I
I feel
almost
like
forgot
if
what
I
I'm talking
understood
about.
what you were talking about, then it would be like way easier to like actually, because we're talking about hypotheticals.
Yeah, but we used your situation. It was perfect because, like, the first example with the parents, it was actually perfect. Like, I really don't want to go into that. Can we? Because I don't,
Yeah, sure.
it's water under
Fine.
the bridge. So
Well, I
I
don't
just
think it
kind of,
is, though. I don't think it's water under the bridge. Because whatever happened there shapes the way that you look at the world and shapes who you are today.
of course, I'm like so careful right now about everything I avoid any type of collaboration with like any streamer at this point. You're probably the first streamer I talked to in like 2 years. Like I've been streaming on my own since then. It's just,
And now I find myself
oof.
being incredibly curious, which I'm not trying to push you. I'm just sharing my feelings, okay? So please, I mean, I can imagine you're going to feel pushed. So be aware of that. Now I find myself like, what the fuck actually happened with you, Mira? Like, what happened? You don't have to answer that. That's just like, I hear you saying I haven't talked to streamers in 2 years, and it's like, holy shit, like, what has this girl gone through? What happened to her?
Hmm.
That's my reaction when I hear you say that. And you've been dodging questions from the get-go, and I'm fine with that. Like, every time I ask you a question, like, your default is to ask me. You've been deflecting this whole time, which is fine. I get that this has been a place where you've gotten screwed and attacked. So of course you're going to be doing that. I think
Yeah,
you've
I
done
feel like it doesn't matter what I say. Like, there's just a lot of prejudice at this point, so it's
so
better not to talk about it at all.
that pisses me off so much, because I do not want to live in a world where it does not matter what you say. Like, that's not right. Your words should always have value. And like, I don't want you to believe that about yourself. Like, fuck however prejudiced it is, but like, don't believe for a second that your words don't matter, because they do.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess maybe because I didn't express, like I said, I am generally pretty bad at communicating with people. Sometimes you want to say something, you feel a certain way, but it comes out completely different, and people take it differently. So maybe because I didn't do it correctly in the past, like whenever I try to say whatever I wanted to say, it just always turned out to be not good. So I'm talking about the situations that were not, you know, like sticky, iffy situations. So I think it's just best to probably
Okay.
be quiet.
I'm sorry if I pushed you in a way that was like made you uncomfortable.
I no, you didn't. It did remind me a little bit of like how unfair some situations were, and I'm like, and it's still sitting there. I can feel that emotional response.
Yeah.
But it's not really what I wanted to talk about on stream today. That's not. It's in the past. Um, I feel like I want to focus more on like the present and like what's going on right now and how much
Yeah,
progress
but
I made.
Mira, I know, like, I'm not, and sorry if you got to really let me know if I'm like doing something that's disrespectful, but I don't think it's in the past, right? Like, this whole conversation is about you looking inside and finding answers within yourself, but this shit is inside you and you're looking away from it. You've been looking away from this shit your entire life. Like, and the thing, the problem, I mean, there's so many subtle things that are actually like really, really terrifying to hear you say, right? Like, to hear you say that your words don't matter. And I have no doubt in my mind that like when you were growing up with your parents, you felt the exact same way. But the whole point is that you do matter, and what you feel on the inside is important. And if people hurt you, that's not okay. If they were unfair to you, that's not okay. And I want you to find a place within yourself where you can sit with that and say that sometimes people are assholes on the outside, but it is not a reflection of who I am as a person. That what you want in life is important. And that your words absolutely do matter. And you are intelligent and you're capable and you care about people and you're moving the right forward in the right direction in life, which I think is fucking amazing. Given all the shit that you had to deal with, growing up with a life where you've been given checkboxes and then being in a place like being a public figure where the world judges you for what comes out of your mouth is terrifying. And for you to like start to discover your own path and to a certain degree move past all that shit is amazing.
Sorry.
Sorry, I should be apologizing because you've signaled to me several times that this is an uncomfortable topic for you and I just can't let this go because like I don't want to let this go. Because it's not water under the bridge. Right? It's water that's flooded your basement. And it doesn't belong there and it's got to get cleaned out because you deserve to be happy in life.
Well, I think this is one of the battles I cannot win. So, which is
you can't change their mind, but you can acknowledge for yourself that it hurts and you can let it go. You can still speak your truth and take solace in the fact that like you were confident in who you are and that you spoke your truth and that other people are not willing to listen. Right now, I think the problem is that their opinions of you affect the way that you view yourself. Expectation. That's why the trees are so happy for you, because you don't have to deal with any of that shit.
The trees are wonderful.
Yeah.
But yeah, to some degree, it does affect me. There were some points, some times in my life where I was Googling again, am I a psychopath? Or seeing a therapist, legitimately asking, am I a psychopath? And when she was saying no, I was like, how do you know? If I'm a psychopath, you wouldn't know. I would trick you. So Twitch chat really makes you put some funny ideas in your head, huh?
Yeah, so I think, I mean, if it's any consolation, I'm kind of a psychopath. Take that for what it's worth. But I know it's bizarre.
In which way do you mean that?
So I think, so we got to do a stream about psychopathy and sociopathy because it's been coming up time and again, but like...
I would love to watch that.
So, you know, I think doing... So what a sociopath or psychopath is someone who's able to separate their emotions or not feel emotions when they act in certain ways. So
why is that bad?
Huh?
That's superior. That's superior. This is not bad.
Yeah, I don't think that sociopathy is necessarily bad.
Why is it perceived as bad?
Because sometimes it leads to predatory stuff, right? So like people who can separate their emotions are able to hurt and take advantage of people in a way that people who cannot separate themselves from their emotions can't. So if I was free from all kinds of guilt, it's way easier for me to be a criminal.
Right.
But if you test people for sociopathy, you find that politicians test highly on the sociopathy scale, but also physicians, surgeons, and psychiatrists. Surgeons and psychiatrists are the two types of physicians who test the most highly. And it's just because in my case, like if I got overwhelmed by all of the emotions that I feel with people, I couldn't do my job. You wouldn't be able
to help anyone, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
So being able to separate yourself from your emotions is a little bit of an adaptive strategy. And in your case, this comes back to the numbness. Like, why do you feel numb? It's because you've got shit in there that you don't want to feel. And the whole point of like, if you want to talk about how to find happiness, you can't be numb on the inside. But the problem is that you've got so much shit down there that you turn down the volume. It's kind of like, I want you to imagine this for a second, right? Like, let's say you've got a radio and there's a station that's playing really bad music and there's a station that's playing really good music. And how do you deal with the really bad music? You turn the volume all the way down. And then you can't listen to the good music either because the volume is turned all the way down.
Okay.
In order for you to be happy, you have to stop being numb. But the problem is that in order for you, if you stop being numb, you're going to dig into all this shit that you say is water under the bridge. It's not water under the bridge. If it was water under the bridge, you wouldn't be feeling whatever you've been feeling for the last couple of minutes. And if people treated you bad, like, you should feel bad about that, and you should feel sorrow, and you should say that's not unfair, and you should receive comfort. And if you fucked up in some way, you should be reflective. And you should be honest with yourself about whether you made mistakes or not. And you should learn from that. And then let it truly be water under the bridge.
Hmm.
And
So
then
this
you
is
can be
one of
happy.
like a start. Your daughters are adorable, by the way.
1 second, hold on.